Hi everyone, my name's Josh Griffiths. I'm coming to you from Newcastle in New South Wales, Australia. Newcastle's about 2 hours north from Sydney, right on the beach, a beautiful place. And while I would have loved to have been joining you all in person for this event today, I'm glad we can all stay home and stay safe. And I hope you're doing that in wherever you are and on the road to some kind of normality in the future. So welcome to this presentation. Thanks for coming along. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about NIB Health Funds and where we've been with data transformation over the past 2 years or so, and start to introduce you to some concepts and things and learnings that we've had along the way that might help you support you in your own transformation journeys and into moving into personalization. So let me talk to you a little bit about NIB Health Funds. We are a private health insurance business, but we also have other lines of business for international workers and students coming to Australia. We have some travel, life, and income protection. But the core side of our business, and what I'll mainly talk about today, is our private health insurance. As far as we're located, as I said, I'm in Newcastle in New South Wales, Australia, but we've got 1,500 employees across the globe in 8 countries, including New Zealand, the UK, the Philippines, and also the USA. Our product, as we sell it, has a multi-channel distribution. This is kind of important around how we can attract customers, and that really sits across some key pillars. The first of those being brokers or aggregators, so third parties that like Compare the Market or iSelect that you may be familiar with, that offer those to people who are looking to compare different health insurance. We also have white label products, so where other brands label one of our products with their brand, and we have a number of those in play that generate sales for us. A key one that you may be familiar with is Qantas, but mostly that we focus on internally is our organic business, the direct to consumer across our web, digital, uh, retail centre, and call centre departments that generate the sales for us. Now, private health insurance in Australia is a little bit different than what you may be experienced across the globe. Within Australia, we have a public offered insurance product provided by the government to uh, all Australians called Medicare. So we're selling a private level of insurance on top of that, which is challenging. And while there are some government incentives for people investing into private health insurance, we're actually selling something that a lot of people do get for free at the same time being from the government. And with that as well, the industry is heavily regulated across between us and our competitors, and that makes it really tough with things like standardization across products and discounting legislation. It really means we need to think differently on how we can stand out against our competitors, and providing great experiences, which I'm going to talk a lot about today, is important for that. And within Australia, NIB is one of the reputable health brands. We're well known. We cover over 1 million Australians. Now, you don't really, to get something out of today, you don't really need to understand private health insurance in Australia, because this isn't a health insurance story. This is a story about how data and technology can create great customer experiences. So it doesn't matter whatever industry you are in. And when I talk to you today about this, I think creating personalized customer experience is becoming more of an expectation from consumers in all industries, and probably now more than ever. So let's go back for NIB around the opportunity for us to make a change. So, like many others, our technology platforms and processes were probably not at a standard required to be successful in, as I mentioned, a competitive industry. So we embarked on a data transformation strategy, and it was quite a lengthy process to build a project to get off the ground. But that has really helped us and build a foundation and prepared us for a personalization and optimization feed off the back of that. So the reasons we needed to make a change for our own business before we got started was that we had really limited visibility and access of our data. So we had things like Google Analytics that were giving us grouped information about users, but not really at an individual level. And when we wanted to access data, it was always very difficult, involving a lot of different teams. Along with that, the data was siloed. We didn't really have a consolidated view. We didn't have access to a CRM to give us the information from different systems that were collecting information on our customers. when we were embarking on this project, we didn't really know where to start. There are a number of opportunities for us around CRM, but we and consolidating data, but we didn't know where that would start, and that was made more difficult by the fact that there are competing priorities. So a number of the data initiatives that were in play in our organisation were owned by different areas, and those priorities really made it difficult for us to find the right place to start. And finally, that, as I mentioned there, the clear ownership of data within NIB wasn't clear, and that meant that everyone was focusing on their own small opportunity to fix, and we didn't have a group-wide function. So that was the problem that we invested in, and we embarked on a data strategy that we've been in play for just over 2 years now, and starting to see those great results from how we did it. But we want to share with you the concepts and things that we've learnt along the way on how we went about that and the strategy about starting small and thinking big, and then also talk to you about what did we do, what was the technology that we invested in, how we're using it, and then share some of the results that we're getting from that as well. So I've mentioned this a couple of times, starting small and thinking big. And the interesting thing here, the image of Everest in the background, I love calling out a couple of stats on this, that of Mount Everest, of all the attempts to climb it, only about half are successful in getting to the top. And that includes the experts, the Sherpas who are dragging these people up to the top most of the time. And 4% of the people that actually attempt to climb Everest don't survive, which is pretty gruesome. So along with that, there's a huge cost of effort, time, and money to achieve to achieve a summit of Everest. And the reason I go through all that is it sounds a lot like a lot of data transformation journeys. I know in Digital Velocity in Australia last year, Dave Lucas from Telium was talking about data transformation and how 70% of initiatives fail, which kind of means that you're more likely to climb Everest than to complete a data transformation journey. But there may be a different approach, and this is how we've been successful by starting small and thinking big. And what that means is don't try and achieve in climbing the mountain in the first go. So we're going to run through a couple of those opportunities that might help you to navigate an Everest project in small bite-sized chunks. So the first thing we want to look at is how difficult it is to start, but really you just need to start and get something in play. At NIB, what we really took was a whole group-wide data transformation project across all of our product lines, and including CRM and those competing priorities I looked at. And we really broke it down, and we looked at one small part, which was our leads management, marketing automation piece. So what we did is we chunked that piece away, and we started small and started to transform that part of the process. Once we started doing that, we started to learn about marketing automation and data and where our data sat and what our future challenges were, so that we could then optimize those and get better at understanding what we needed to do. And then from there, and we're in this position now, is we've got that foundation in place. We're able to accelerate and start to invest in further technology and do things a little bit differently and more rapidly. So starting small and thinking big, it's the concept we're going to talk about a lot today, but that's something that's really worked for us to get us away and under the ability to move forward. So let's talk about data transformation and what we did in NIB. And this really focuses on three key parts around the technology. I'm going to walk you through what we invested in early and how that's working for us, then how we are enabling that through our people, and then show you some of the capabilities that has landed us with, that we have now transformed. So let's start with the technology and what we invested in. I talked really early on about limited access to our data. So the first product we were looking at was Telium to help us give us access to our data. And with that, we implemented Telium IQ tag management, which went across our web and digital assets to start to collect all the clicks and links and page views across our website and our app to feed that in and give us those insights that we had at an individual level. To augment that better, we wanted to collect our offline data. So everything that's coming through our contact center, our inbound phone calls, our outbound phone calls, what the outcome of those were, people who couldn't get through to us, emails, chats, all these pieces of information in our telephony center, we were now collecting. Also, our policyholder information around quotes and joins and lapses, so people who leave. We're collecting that and pushing that into Telium using EventStream. And then also information off from our retail centres and ability to load other data into this through EventStream. Now, what would happen next is that information would pass into AudienceStream with Telium, and this is where the magic happens, where those online and offline events can be stitched together to create a really rich profile. So we're starting to get this view on customers, that visibility that we initially lacked, to see how they are interacting with us across different channels, and then start to use that data to better increase those experiences. So within that was all happening within AudienceStream. And once we had that insights and we wanted to start to activate that, we could link into some of the products that we'd purchased within our transformation as well. So looking at Oracle Eloqua for marketing automation, and then augmenting that further with Salesforce, and then Optimizely as well for on-site personalization. So Telium was connecting into these. We're collecting our data, our first-party data, enriching it in Telium, and then activating it through these other pieces of software that we had purchased. But what we soon realized is that there was so much more we could do with this data as the things improved. And there are a whole heap of other applications that we could easily connect and integrate with, and start to use our data that we collected to further generate those experiences. So activation was now happening in many different places. And the beauty of all this activation was that we were able to collect those events and pass them back into EventStream and AudienceStream to further enrich and give us more data and information on it. Now, I talk about all that data, and we couldn't activate all of it, but we had a really important strategy to use our enterprise data storage, which is Snowflake. And every event that was passing through Telium, we're also storing in Snowflake, which is going to help us later on when we start to interrogate that to look for patterns and behaviors. So that's the technology that we had, which is fantastic, but it's no good if you don't have the people in place to use it. And so the way we went about that, and I like to put up this image with the dog, the cat, and the mouse working together, which traditionally you wouldn't see. And traditionally you wouldn't see or have challenges with a technology, a marketing, and a customer experience teams within a business working together. So our goal was trying to get the dog, the cat, and the mouse. And we've done that through creating a team that sits across all three of those business areas. And that is the marketing automation team that I lead. And we've been able to really start to allow the creative side from marketing to be translated into technology requirements and get some feedback from our front line to look for solutions for them to create different marketing campaigns and generate better outcome. And I love having this strategy in place as well, being able to work with teams and they can come to us with their concepts and ideas. And I think of one in our marketing team, and they came to us talking about the ability to further feed information to our ad servers about people who had contacted the contact center and then also got a quote, which they'd never had access to before. It was all real web only analytics. And we can really simply have a conversation there and say, yeah, we can do that for you. We're not trying to translate requirements into technology. And that's a really exciting part where we can solve problems quickly and make great outcomes and deliver great results. So with the technology and the people in play, we've generated a whole heap of capability and feel like we're enabled like we never have been before. We've often relied on third-party marketing vendors to generate our campaigns, but now we have that enablement and we're able to move really quickly and have a great speed to market by being able to do things ourselves. And the example I like to call out here is really early on in our journey, we were just implementing this technology. It wasn't wide known around what the capabilities were. And it was at the end of financial year, which is a really busy time in sales for us at NIB, or in private health insurance, really. There's some government incentives that kick in at the end of June, and we generally see a big rush for sales. And for this particular year, we had a really good sales offer in market, in comparison to our competitors. And our head of marketing was in a stand-up, a sales stand-up towards the end of the month saying, we've got a really great offer. It's a shame we can't SMS all of the current quotes out there, really quickly and tell them that about how good our offer is. And he said it's a shame because his impression of being able to generate a campaign would be the standard: brief our third party marketing vendor, wait a few days for them to understand our requirements, come back with some content and copy, and then go through approvals and check it all off. And that whole process would normally take about 4 weeks. So he didn't really think there was anything possible. And I was in this stand up and I said, well, hang on, we might be able to do something here. And so we took it away and we walked out of the meeting. We grabbed our content people, we wrote some copy, we grabbed our legal people, got that approved in the tools that we had available to us. We were segmenting audiences, testing, building the campaign, and we had it live within 4 hours of us finishing that meeting. We had an SMS out in the hands of customers at that really critical time for us. And that was really successful. That was a really successful campaign. And it just demonstrates how enabled we are and the ability to move quickly, being self-enabled. Along with this, we've had some great capability offered through insights to our data. So while we've had it there, I talked about Snowflake before, and every click, all the behavioral outcomes that are happening throughout our data collection tools now being stored in Snowflake. And we've got on board a data scientist, and I really got to encourage you to demystify any objections you have with data science and that link between business and science. Our data scientist was already in our business as a data analyst and had a passion for statistics. So we've kind of repurposed the role in the current environment around data science and machine learning. But again, we started small. We didn't overcomplicate this. And his name's Levon, and Levon, our data scientist, started to access Snowflake and all of that behavioral information in there to build us some different types of models to understand and give us better experiences and start to personalize journeys. And an example of that was a model he ran. It was a likelihood to become a lead. So we collect leads on our website for people who are coming and looking at joining NIB. And we get around 20 to 30% of our people that fill out a lead form, but 100% of people see it. So Levon built a model based on what we knew about a user through that funnel, would tell us whether they were likely to give us a lead or not. And we're able to activate that using Tealium. What happens is we collect some information about the user, and they're all unknown at this stage. We pass that through to an Amazon tool called SageMaker, and we get a result back into Tealium within about 2 seconds, which Levon tells me is too slow. He needs to get that much quicker. But we get this result back into Tealium that tells us how likely someone is to become a lead. And we're able to use that and then connecting with Optimizely to change the on-site experience almost in real time to either present the lead form or not. And we talk about personalization. That's not a one-size-fits-all approach. That's really personalized, using science and doing some cool things to generate a better experience, and not asking for a lead form if someone really is against it, but at the same time making sure it is available, because we know when someone is asking for us to call them and giving us their details, that we can give a great experience in helping explain private health insurance to them over the phone if that's what they would need to do. So that's one example of our data science working really well for us, and we couldn't have done that without having this insight and access to our data. And finally, the activation, which we kind of just talked about then around how we do that, it can happen in real time. So things are triggering and firing, and it's all automated. But really importantly is that we are business enabled. So I said at the start of this presentation is I'm not an IT guy. I don't have any coding ability or things like that. But I can activate our marketing tools to generate new campaigns, and I can make changes so that things are changed in real time. So the technology that we've invested in is really user-friendly and intuitive around making the business be able to be more enabled and not relying on third-party marketing vendors or IT teams who have got lengthy backlogs. So capability has been generated by having great technology along with the right people in place. So with that foundation in place, I want to talk to you about how we're approaching personalization. And you could have guessed, yes, it's a start small, think big approach. But I think personalization as a theme at the moment is a little bit uncertain across all industries. But I think what we need to realize is that it is a thing. Personalization is here. It's 2020. No longer can we rely on personas to generate the experiences for our potential members and customers. People expect so much more than that. They're seeing it through other channels. They're probably seeing it from our competitors. And it's not just about, a subject line in an email being personalized or a different image based on a key attribute of them. It's true omni-channel personalization down to the level of how people are behaving through our channels at the same time. Now that sounds quite huge and complex, and again, not knowing where to start is probably a common barrier that people are facing with personalization. So I'm going to walk you through our approach, a starting small and thinking big approach on how we're tackling personalization, and hopefully the learnings from that will help you along your way. So firstly, as I was just saying, with personalization, it's definitely a thing, but don't be overwhelmed, and there's so many risks with overcomplicating it. So start to look for something that you can start now with. It needs to be simple, but really we do need to get something live soon and now, because as I said before, our competitors are probably already moving in with this, and our customers are experiencing. I use the example of Netflix and Spotify for me, that are giving me personalized recommendations that I couldn't live without my Spotify homemade playlist anymore. And if I don't get that from another organization, I start to feel like I'm not being looked after. And we don't want to treat our personalization as grouping anymore. I talked about personas being gone now. We can't say that two people are the same based on some key attributes, whether their age or where they live or their gender, that generates what experience they get. We have so much more data. We need to be using it to change those experiences. So all that data is there. There's got to be something we can start simple and start now with. Now, we definitely have looked at this next one around engaging the experts. So this technology in place, it doesn't matter who you've got in your organization, you'll probably never be getting the full potential out of it unless you're sharing and learning from others. So with personalization, we've engaged a partner called the Luminary here in Australia, who are a fantastic group who have been guiding us and setting up our framework for personalization and how we're going to use that going forward. So the Luminary have come in and they've really understood our business and really challenged us to think about the different opportunities that we would have in place for a full-scale personalization approach. But that's not what they've recommended. The first step there is to break it down and to focus on value. So, a personalization journey, you think of different steps that could be in play for a user through your sales funnel or through a retention funnel that might trigger a different experience. The more and more experiences you add into that, the is kind of exponential around the growth of different experiences that will come out the back of it. So what we've really needed to do, and on the recommendation from the Luminary, is to pick some key value pieces. So for us, it's a key part of our sales funnel around conversion, and then also around retention as well, and picking some journeys through there that we can test and learn from. But importantly, as we build this, is make sure that we're building it for scale. So anything we're setting up, we can move quickly on those opportunities where we are seeing those value and further grow in that space. So if we think about Everest again, we're not trying to climb the mountain by creating every possible personalization journey without really knowing how that's going to work for us. Climbing probably many small mountains to get the same level of elevation, but with less risk and the ability to change and move to a different mountain if the first mountain's not working, which is not what you can do if you're halfway up Everest and you decide you want to go back down. So let's have a look at some of the results. And I love this image as well. When we talk about results and an archery target, this is really about excellence over perfection. And you don't always want to be hitting 10. If you're always aiming to hit 10, then you're going to be missing out on so many other opportunities, and you're not going to be learning along the way. So there's nothing wrong with a 7, 8, or 9 as well. As you are getting through your results. And we've seen a lot of success and failure in our organization as a culture around allowing innovation and allowing failure, which is really refreshing and helps us to be successful. So, when you are building your business cases to invest in this technology and you're starting your journey, don't be afraid to have some small failures in there so that you can learn and then get some 10s later on. So here's some of the things that we've got on board since we've implemented our data transformation journey and the technology has given us. So firstly, around events collected, since we've launched, we've collected over 113 million events. So these are all behavioral indicators of our prospective customers and our members around how they're interacting with us. And this is data that we never had available to us before. And it's now generating us the ability to use that data to create those experiences like we talked about before. Along with that, we have been able to increase our leads. So technology and moving quickly and being enabled, we're able to think about how we can collect leads differently. And we've done that, and we're seeing this continually increase over 175% of what we had when we started this transformation journey, and that continues to grow. But not only are there more leads, but they're more there's more quality involved with them. So, a great example for us, again, using data science with the lead that we've collected, we've got a model that tells us the best time that we might be able to call them. So we can implement that and make sure that the leads that we've collected, we're now calling them at the time that is likely to be the time they're going to pick up. So we're more efficient with those leads, and we're not wasting resources or impacting experiences for customers that are getting called at times they're unlikely to want them. So the data that we're collecting, 113 million events, has led us to an increase in leads, which no doubt is going to give us additional campaigns. So we've had 30 plus, and we're continually rolling these campaigns out, and there's new ideas popping up all the time. The 113 million events, there's so many insights that says, okay, well, here's something else we can test. So continually adding new campaigns and learning from those. But if I step back and look at our very first campaign that we launched for marketing automation, and it was a quote follow-up campaign that we had for people who had got a quote through any of our channels. It's quite simple in how it operated, and it was really a test and learn for us. But pretty quickly, that one campaign had generated a return enough to pay for our investment in technology across our whole transformation. So, it was one small thing that we were lacking that we had that we're then able to implement and then reap the rewards from, and have been able to continue to do that with additional campaigns and improving those experiences along the way. So I just want to sum up now. It really focused today around how we've transformed by starting small and thinking big, and how that has created the foundation really for our personalization journey, which we're right in the middle of rolling out. And I just want to give you a few takeaways that I would think are important if for any stage of you in your own data transformation journey. Of course, start small and think big, but if you haven't, you must start now. And this is the best way to do it, is find the small opportunity, low investment, low risk, great rewards. So get in play now. Don't get left behind from your competitors. And as I said, there's opportunity for great benefits here. Personalization, it's definitely a thing. Make sure that you can find something small that's going to deliver some value, again, to prove that case and get a snowball effect rolling on. The snowball effect is that momentum. It's going to lead your strategy. So again, we're not going to get halfway up Everest on a strategy that we defined without really having any experience in this, but we're going to build momentum and continue to learn along the way and be able to pivot and change once we're seeing where the opportunity is. And finally, as I mentioned before, work with your experts. We're so lucky to have teams like the Luminary working with us, who are genuinely interested in our success. And that goes with our technology vendors as well. We didn't just go and purchase technology that was going to suit our needs. We wanted to invest with a vendor who was going to support us ongoing, and there was a great relationship there. And I have to thank Telium for having me along here today, but that's definitely true with what we've seen with Telium. The ongoing interest and passion in our success at NIB through using their technology and others, and being able to share and connect us with anyone who is having similar challenges that we can collaborate on and find solutions. And I always call out Hax, who's our account manager, our success manager, and he's often driving me for results and outcomes as much as we are doing that internally, which just demonstrates how Telium and the team and their product has really enabled us and been the right decision for us to be the success that we're seeing today. So that's everything that I wanted to take you through today. I would really love if you've got any questions or thoughts or updates, if you'd connect with me on LinkedIn. And ideally, we can catch up at one of these events perhaps next year when things settle down. And until they do, I really hope everyone's staying safe. There's different challenges all across the world at the moment. But yeah, wish you all the best. Thank you for tuning in today. Have a great day.